Welcome to the Communication Diva Podcast, episode 68. Today's podcast addresses one of the oldest and most common means of sharing facts, opinions, and slander: gossip. I understand that from the perspective of evolutionary psychologists at least, gossip plays an important social function, but I still don't like it. And personally, I never gossip. But do you want to know who does?
Hello and welcome to Communication Diva. This is Jen Swanson and you're listening to the podcast that looks at all areas of communication in the hopes that something that you hear here will inspire you, will encourage you, that you will learn something new, or that you will just be entertained about the world of communication. And yeah, I'm coming to you today from my little studio office at home in, I would say sunny Vancouver, British Columbia, but it's kind of rainy Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And we're not getting very nice weather these days. It's pretty dark. It's spring. And I was looking at an email from a friend of mine. You may remember Mervyn Dykes, who was one of the guests on the show, who's in New Zealand. And he's just saying that they're in the middle of winter right now. And the weather is very different on that side of the world. So depending on where you are listening to this, you might not be experiencing spring at this point in time. So I have been dealing with a very interesting experience. I'm having a bunch of kind of medical issues, and I'm really beginning to think that I might be gluten intolerant, or even maybe be suffering from celiac disease. And if you have any experience about this, I would love to hear from you. I've just had some blood work done and I'm waiting to find out what's going on, but I'm going to embark, regardless of whether the blood tests are accurate or not, because some people say that they're often not, on trying to go gluten-free for a while. My mother has had to do this. There is a strong genetic component, apparently. I have a friend who's got celiac disease, and she was talking to me about it. And I'm going to try it. I have read that book that everyone's talking about, Wheat Belly, and I'm not sure where I sit on that yet, because it is a little bit of, you wonder about the latest, greatest thing. But at the same time, I know that I'm really not feeling that well when I eat bread and things. And so I'm going to try it. And there are more and more people that are unable to eat gluten, and there are lots of things available in the grocery store, but it's going to be a bit of a challenge for a while, finding recipes and figuring out what the heck I am allowed to eat. So, as I said, if you have any ideas or thoughts, please contact me. Let me know, because I'd love to hear if you have any suggestions or recipes or ideas on that fun little adventure. Anyhow, today I wanted to talk to you about gossip, and I'm calling this episode the Green Ghoul of the Office, but it can actually happen anywhere. And gossip, we do it. We name nightclubs and TV shows and magazines after it. If you put gossip into a search engine, you'll find all manner of things, but the majority of the things that I see when I do that at the top anyways are things about famous people and celebrities. That is apparently an entire industry. We hate gossip, we fear it, we are hurt by it when it's about us, but we actually love and delight in it when it's about that certain celebrity or that super annoying relative that I'm sure we all have, or that one insufferable idiot that we have to work with every day. And hopefully you don't have that, but some people do, and sometimes we do. And it can be hard to not want to share about that. Now, gossip, according to the source of all wisdom, Wikipedia, is idle talk or rumor about the personal or private affairs of others. And I thought that was interesting. Idle talk, just chit chat, right? Talk, just something to do, or rumors about the personal or private affairs of other people. Gossip is pretty much just plain mean. And some people say it can be harmless, but I'm not sure. I think it can also be extremely harmful depending on what the topic is. So why do we gossip? When it's good gossip, if you can call it that, it can be a matter of telling stories and sharing information. So if you're telling somebody about a coworker's lottery win and you're doing it in a non-malicious, non-jealous, ooh, I'm really happy for them kind of way, then maybe it's okay. Maybe it's just sharing somebody's exciting news. If you're hearing about a coworker's son who finally made it through high school, that might be considered a good news story. One of the people you're working with is pregnant after, having tried to get pregnant for quite some time. Woohoo, that kind of thing I would say is more about information sharing. Some people consider it to be forming alliances or bonds with our friends, talking about something we have in common. And other people just call this networking. So there are instances where perhaps gossip, if you want to call it that, but chit-chat, idle chit-chat and talking about people's personal issues could be considered to be a good thing. Celebrity gossip. I find this so tedious and boring, but it's extremely popular and it can have a lot of useful functions. Now, I stand in the grocery stores too, like everybody else, and look at the front pages of all the magazines. And I think to myself, people spend their lives doing this. People spend their lives chasing these people around, taking pictures of them, writing just drivel about, who has the latest, relationship with who. Like, I frankly could not care less about this kind of stuff. But apparently there is an entire industry who cares very, very much. And websites and people spend time doing this. I don't get it. But anyway, I guess celebrity gossip can give us all something in common to talk about. And in some instances, it can provide inspiration and motivation, either for people to emulate the celebrity or to directly do the opposite if it's something ridiculous that the person is doing. So I guess it gives us something to talk about. And of all of the gossip, because we don't know these people, because these people are so much in the public eye, it probably is the least harmful. If you're going to gossip maliciously for whatever reason, it is the most harmless way of doing it, because you don't know the person is never going to know you likely, and they are in the public eye and it's all over everywhere. And so, I guess celebrities have to be pretty strong and just ignore this stuff, because most of it is truly ridiculous. Now, celebrity gossip can make us feel better about ourselves in a virtuous kind of way. I would never do what she's doing, even if I had all of her money, that kind of thing. I don't know. Now I must say that Angelina Jolie's latest revelation about her double mastectomy that was done to prevent the likelihood of breast cancer in her later years, because she carries a particular gene. I guess her mother passed away of breast cancer. I'm sure you've heard about this. She's the American actress who is quite well known. And I think she revealed that she had had a double mastectomy earlier this year. And I would consider that to be in the realm of good celebrity gossip, because it's drawn attention to a very serious subject. And it quite possibly has inspired or encouraged women who are facing similar decisions, because she is so beautiful and so popular, and her body image is it's part of her job. And to be confident enough to say, hey, there are some things that are more important than what I look like, is inspiring, I think. So, I don't even know if I would classify all the buzz and media attention around that topic as gossip, but more perhaps as information sharing. And I commend her for sharing that information with the world because it is extremely private, personal information. Now, what about the not so good kind of gossip? Well, it's kind of just mean, right? Um, if there is great delight taken in making another person look or sound awful or stupid or incompetent or very small, then it's likely the kind of gossip that will end up looking really bad on you if you're the one partaking in it. Um, Now, much of the gossip that happens is actually unconscious, and it might be a way for you to make yourself feel better, self-esteem wise. Um, it might make you feel more important or more intelligent or part of the in crowd. Sometimes it's used in an effort to gain popularity with a certain group of people, or it can make you feel more knowledgeable. However, if you're talking in a negative way about someone else, it's still considered to be malicious. When gossip is vicious or malicious, or any of those words you want to attribute to it, it can be due to boredom. Got nothing better to do, standing around the water cooler, so let's talk about so and so's latest hairdo. Judgment, and often jealousy, and these are really all poor excuses for the activity of gossip, but it happens. How can you tell if you're about to say something that might be gossip? If you really care about this and you want to try not to do it, how can you tell that what you're going to say might be gossip in the negative kind of way? Well, there are 5 key questions that you could ask yourself. You could say, self, what is my motivation? In other words, why am I going to talk about this? And if you can't come up with a useful, positive answer, then maybe it's better, that old saying, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. That old saying, that's true, I think, in this case. Question number 2, in talking about this, am I going to be hurtful or helpful? And I used to ask my children this when they were tattling on each other when they were little. Are you coming to tell me this to be helpful or hurtful? And I think that's a really good question. Is this going to help anything in me sharing this, or is it going to hurt someone? And that would be a good question. Question number 3, how would I feel if someone said this about me behind my back? Question number 4, what are the possible consequences? So what if someone hears me? What if somebody else overhears me saying this, right? What could happen? And the last question would be, would I talk about this with the person in question? Would I go and talk to the person about their awful hairdo? Or would I just pretend it's all great? Great, you look lovely, So these are good questions. What is my motivation? Am I going to be helpful or hurtful? How would I feel if someone said this about me? What are the possible consequences? And would I talk about this with the person in question? Those are key questions to ask yourself if you're serious about stopping the gossip. Now, what about professionalism? Well, gossip pretty much isn't if it's the negative kind. And in fact, participating in office or workplace gossip can be damaging to your career if the wrong person overhears it or if someone reports you. Now, I'll tell you a little story. I was supervising a group of nursing unit clerk students, and if you're unsure as to what nursing unit clerk students are, I have a link on the website to a description of that career choice, which is an excellent one, I might say. But I was supervising a group of nursing unit clerk students at a major hospital in Vancouver once when I got paged about a situation. And what had happened is one student had gone for lunch in the busy cafeteria with a group of nurses and staff, including her preceptor from her nursing unit. And these students are on site for 4 weeks on one unit and 3 weeks on another unit. And so they're not really part of the crowd, but they're supposed to fit into the team, put their theory that they've learned all year into practice in a practical form. And nursing unit clerks liaise between doctors and nurses and coordinate hospital units. They call them different names. They call them hospital unit assistants, health unit coordinators. There's all different names for them. Ward clerks is the old name. But they're very key personnel. Anyhow, this student was at lunch with a bunch of people from her unit, and the group began to gossip about another worker on their floor. And the student, wanting to fit into her new situation and be part of the team, added something to the gossip and was overheard by a manager who happened to be sitting in the next booth and who knew that she was a student. Yikes. So I got paged. The student ended up being written up and being reprimanded for unprofessional behavior. And, she was mortified. She was extremely embarrassed. She was scared about her reputation in the hospital now that this was on file, and the manager was, pretty disgusted with her behavior. And she had quite probably jeopardized any job prospects at that hospital. And this is a big downtown teaching hospital that has a lot of, openings often and a lot of positions. And what a terrible mistake, because she ended up trying to, fit in by saying something awful about a person she probably didn't even know very well, had met once or twice, So extremely damaging stuff, and very, very unprofessional in perception. So when in doubt, I say don't. That's my humble opinion. Just don't do it. Of course, it happens. It seems to be part of the human condition or something. We've all found ourselves in situations where people are gossiping, and maybe where we've joined in too. But I think you do have the option to walk away. You have the option to change the subject, to not participate in it, especially at work. And not joining in will reflect well on you. You might not even know it, but if there is a, what's the word I'm looking for? If there is a, I've just drawn a blank. Have you ever done that? Sort of an ethos, or if there is a history or a climate is what I'm looking for, of gossip on that particular unit. And much of the group gossips, but you are seen to not ever partake in those conversations, that's going to look good on you. Now, you still want to be part of the team, yes. So there are ways to deflect that are subtle so it doesn't seem obvious. You can use humor. You don't have to be sanctimonious or holier than thou about it, because if you do that, you're going to turn people off and you're not going to end up being part of the group. Right? But if you are consistent in gently changing the subject, starting to talk a new story about yourself, or making a joke, or doing something funny, people are going to stop trying to engage you in malicious gossip if it doesn't work repeatedly. They just won't when you're around. At least that's the hope. But it seems to be a good technique. And I say that to my students. I tell them that story. And I say to them, if you're in a situation where people are chit-chatting and you want to be part of the team, I'm going to be back in a sec. I got to run to the washroom. Or, hey, I've got a good story to tell you, and suddenly tell some story that you have, or whatever it is. But it doesn't have to be obvious that you're, poo-pooing or morally horrified by what they're doing. You can just change the subject gently. Or get busy doing something else, and that is going to look much better on you than participating in that kind of thing. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on gossip, and I'd love to know what you think. Send me some buzz. Talk to me about your thoughts on gossip, your experiences. You can send a voicemail if you go to communicationdiva.com. On the right-hand side, there's a little gray-colored box that says send a voicemail. You click on that. You don't have to have any special equipment. You can talk right into the speaker of your computer, and I will receive an email that says there is a voicemail, and you can tell me your story. Or you can leave a comment by going to the bottom of the post and clicking on the little counter box that is in brackets that says comments. If you click on that, it'll take you to a page where you can enter your comments. You can send me an email, jenn@communicationdiva.com. Or you can come and talk to me on Facebook at the Communication Diva page. I'm also on Twitter at Jen Swanson and then the number 2, and Pinterest and all different places. So come and talk to me. I'd love to hear from you. I hope you are doing well. And until next time, let's try to improve our communication to make this world a little bit more of a gentle place. Take good care. Talk to you soon.